Hello, Seka. I'm back again. I wanted to talk to you about Seka. How's it gonna feel not getting Hu Tao? I don't even want her. Sure you don't. It's not even a big deal, Seka. But unrelated, how would you build Hu Tao? I walked into this 2 days in a row. Okay, so I just got myself an HP percentage based timepiece. And I was looking into Hu Tao, who is an HP based character. And I wanted to know if I would ever reach the point where HP percentage artifacts are bad for Hu Tao. And I wanted to see if this would ever be a bad thing. So I'm gonna go over these Hu Tao artifacts that I've pre-farmed out so far, and I'll show you what I have. This is what I have for the Royal Plume here. Over here is what I have for the Flora, for HP percentage, energy recharge, all this stuff here. This is what I have for a headpiece. Obviously not very good, but I'll probably like replace it if we get something better. And this is what I have for a goblet. Now, if you don't know this about Hu Tao, of course, she scales off HP percentage very heavily, and she of course gets a ridiculously high amount of HP right here. She also scales off C damage too. She also has a very low amount of base attack. Her base attack is only at 106. Now keep this number in mind because we're going to be talking about it in a bit. And in Hu Tao, her normal attack talents aren't super high, but again, these are not going to matter. What really matters on Hu Tao is going to be her E ability. Her E ability is called Guide to the Afterlife. And in this ability, only an unwavering flame can cleanse the impurities of this world. Hu Tao consumes a set portion of her HP to knock down enemies and enter a new state called the Paramita Papilio state. This state is going to do 3 different things. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to boost attack based on her max HP. But this is the key thing here. Your attack value is actually going to be capped at 400% of your base attack. Now remember when I said she had a very low amount of base attack at 106? For an example, the most recent character in the game, Zhao, I believe has 350 plus base attack on his current amount. So he has a ridiculously high amount of base attack, whereas Hu Tao has a ridiculously low amount of base attack. Base attack, if you're not aware, is the addition of both your character's main stat for base attack plus your weapon attack. It's going to be this value number right here. Now this base attack over here on a 5-star weapon, 5-star weapons will cap out at 674, whereas the new weapon with the Staff of Homo will cap out at 608. For a lot of other weapons of the game, of course, like a Blacklift Horn, which we're talking about now, caps out at 510. So that's the current cap of what you can get. You have to add in the weapon plus the spear damage, plus the level up damage. Now, you're also going to convert all your damage to pyro damage, which means that your whole kit is going to be based on pyro. Charge attacks are going to apply Blood Blossom, which will something we're not going to get into, and it's also going to increase resistance and everything. The reason I wanted to go over this is because the current way Hu Tao scales makes it so that the artifact sets that you're going to be pre-farming or farming for Hu Tao are going to be different based upon what weapon you're using for Hu Tao. And the new weapon that's going to be coming out, which is called the Staff of Homo, or this bad boy right here, is a weapon that increases your total amount of HP. This also provides an attack bonus based on your current HP. It's very similar to the way the Jade Cutter works, but the difference between the two weapons is the Jade Cutter actually has a flat amount of attack bonus that based on HP, whereas the Staff of Homo actually has a thresholded amount. So if you're below 50% HP, you get additional amount of damage. You start at 0.8% of your total HP for additional attack bonus, and below 50%, you get an additional attack bonus of 1%, giving your total attack bonus at 1.8% of your maxed HP. And this, of course, will scale based on how many refines you have on the weapon. Now, all this is very important because what we're going to be talking about today is there is a cap. And what I did was I actually found out the total amount of stats that I have on my artifacts. I currently have an additional 81% HP on my artifacts right here, and I actually have an additional 6,782 HP from the artifacts. My current base HP, of course, amount is going to be 15,552 at level 90 for Hu Tao. And that's going to get me with a Black Cliff weapon, 35,024. And this is with Black Cliff. Now, if I was using a Refined 1 Homa, which increases your HP by 20%, that will give me a total of 38,134, and a Refined 5 at 41,044. Now, the total base attack value of a Black Cliff weapon is 616, whereas a Homa is at 714. And what we did was we went back into Hu Tao, and we wanted to figure out at which talent level do you start breaking the amount of HP barrier where you hit this max 400% value. We go into Hu Tao artifacts, and you get a lot more attack percentage artifacts. You start getting a lot more HP percentage rolls. There's going to be a point where you're going to break the maximum threshold of the HP percentage that you can get. The maximum amount of attack that you can gain from your HP is 2,856 attack with your Homa Spear. Now, the maximum over here that we've actually gained from a Homa Spear is 2,334. If you go too hard on HP percentage and put something like an HP percentage headpiece on Hu Tao, that will break the threshold and you will have too much HP. So you definitely want a critical chance or critical damage headpiece on Hu Tao. Now, the reason this could be a question is because of a character like Albedo. Albedo is one of those characters where he's the rare character in the game where a defense percentage headpiece is actually better than an HP, than a crit damage or crit chance headpiece. You will get more damage on this. But since Hu Tao has a cap on her HP value, you do not want to do that with a Homa Spear. For alternative weapons, there are a bunch of weapons that you can use. The Dragon Spine Beer is trash. No, don't pick it. Favonius is fine for energy recharge if you're using support Hu Tao, but why are you pulling for a support Hu Tao? That's just weird. Dragon's Bane. Is Dragon's Bane going to be good? Well, at maximum, you get an extra 36% damage if they are affected by Hydro or Pyro. So if you were trying to do a vaporized comp with Hu Tao, this would be an amazing weapon for you because you are going to have them that 36% damage up all the time. And EM main stat is decent. Unfortunately, though, a Dragon's Bane has a 41 base attack, which means it caps out at 450 total attack, which is going to be a bad option with an HP percentage base build because you're going to get way less base attack of your overall base attack. And with a Dragon's Bane, I believe you get like 450 plus the 106. That's a maximum of 2,200 total attack that you can get from HP as a cap. So, I mean, you cap out at a much lower value as well for the maximum damage that you can get from HP percentage. So, my opinion on this weapon is it's okay if you don't have another option. I mean, you're gonna get a lot more crit chance and crit damage from your substats, and that means you're gonna have a less HP percentage from your stats, which is probably fine. But what are you gonna do? Blackcliff as well, and that's the same thing. It's going to apply, by the way, for both Dragon's Bane and Deathmatch, because you're going to have the major issue of having a capped value of HP for what you can actually have at a much lower amount. So a Blackcliff option with having more base attack is going to be a better option because you're going to have more attack that you can really get from it. And of course, if you have the Skyward Spine, that would be a great way to go too. The reason I don't really like 4-piece Crimson Witch, by the way, or Hu Tao, is based on the way that her set works. The 4-piece Crimson Witch, by the way, will increase overload and burning damage by 40%, but it's going to increase Vaporize and Melt by 15%, which is a very minor amount if you look at things. Using an elemental skill, the 2-set piece bonus increases by 50% for a maximum for 10 seconds and a maximum of 3 stacks. Unfortunately, with a 4-piece Crimson Witch, you're going to have to then prop an E, and the duration of the ability for Tao currently is at 9 seconds with a 16-second cooldown. So you're only going to be able to boost your amount of pyro damage gained by a very small amount for a very short duration. And getting a 50% set bonus from this is basically 7.5. Tao stuff videos going forward that are based on math, facts, information that we currently have. But of course, all this stuff is in beta, so this is all subject to change. It's just based on information that we have currently. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, guys. Bye.